MPL presents Cricbuzz Live. Here's another good day at the IPL, isn't it? Now the Delhi Capitals up against Sunrisers. Joy Bhattacharjya is alongside me. So is Ajay Jadeja. It's been a peculiar kind of tournament for Delhi. They started off well. They won a super over, and then their batting just fell off the cliff, which is something a lot of us had worried about at the start of the tournament. The Sunrisers are scoring 200 like it's a walk in the park. But this surface looks like it's going to be different, Ajay.
Yeah, this is...
It's not a 200 surface.
When you get to Delhi, it's different. I mean,
but the boundary line is just next door.
Boundary line is actually, what, 50 yards or 55 yards. You know, and it's one of the smallest grounds. And if you had this kind of boundary on a wicket in Bangalore or in Mumbai, you'd probably get 300 scores. But it doesn't allow you to play those shots, especially in the middle of the game. And that's why maybe the boundary doesn't look that bad.
Interesting that they're bowling first. You thought dry surface? Then that you want to bat first, it gets slower as you go along?
Yeah, I would have thought that.
Yeah.
And especially what we've seen over the last 10, 11 years is when it's a low-scoring game, it's always better to bat second because, you know what target you're chasing. It's not easy to bat, so, you won't take risks when you're chasing. Whereas when you're batting first, you don't know what a good total is. So sometimes you let in the opposition by making mistakes rather than them beating you. But, this is what everybody likes doing these days.
So Hyderabad versus Delhi, there's one person with roots in Hyderabad here, but two Delhiwalas opposite me. One, this strange mix of someone with an artistic temperament living in Gurgaon. I don't know how that works, but that's working.
No. Artistic temperament does not exist in Gurgaon because, we are the kind of place where in every restaurant it's written arms and ammunition not allowed. You need to say it in Gurgaon. But I told you, the best part about Gurgaon is that even the Chinese restaurant, Korean, any restaurant, finally, at 2 o'clock at night, if you go and ask them, they will always have tadka and dal and roti. Because some drunk jat will come and say, roti kahan hai? And if you don't give it to him at that point in time, then arms and ammunition allowed may not be work for you. But
so Gurgaon attitude today, Delhi?
I think...
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look at that side. No, and then they seem to play like that. You look at 18-year-old Prithvi Shaw. He comes out there. He has a bat in his hand, but he uses like a sword. He just swings it as hard as he can. And then you got Rishabh Pant, who's another of that kind. So they play like that. And don't forget, one coach, Ricky Ponting, is also quite a jat in that
He's
sense.
a jat. Ricky Ponting as is Saurav is a jat. Saurav is not very un-Bengali in the way he deals
I'm just waiting for someone to say, we are offended because in the country we love being offended. But that's an issue with Delhi. They're making it tough for themselves, the Delhi Capitals, because they start well and then twice now they've suddenly fallen over the cliff. Look at that. 16 of 16. As it turns out, they won the super over, but they almost made a hash of it. And 23 of 21 was the greatest collapse in the history of the tournament.
I told you, the second greatest collapse was KKR in Ahmedabad when we lost 6 wickets for 1 run.
You let the V slip in, but that's all right.
What year was that?
2014. But what happened...
Was Dada there?
No, this was after his time. But what happens is within 48 hours, the good thing is they're playing almost immediately. Punjab is not far away. They would have come in the morning. They would have just filled them with activities and made sure that they were not going to ponder about this game. It's an interesting one though because you've got both sides I call it the battle of the 10 crore plus players. You have a Shikhar Dhawan whose price tag is obviously hanging on him and whatever it is a burden on him. And you have Manish Pandey on the other side. And the other interesting thing is that every time teams like this play, their greatest plus is also their greatest minus. So right now, Sunrisers' greatest plus is their opening partnership.
Yes.
But their greatest minus is their middle order is untested completely.
Absolutely.
And the day it's going to get tested, God knows, they just don't have the runs and Manish Pandey doesn't have the confidence, doesn't have the number of balls, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's true because they've got, 3 century partnerships in a row. They're making 200, they're making it easier for the batting to come. So what about the sides today? What about your own side? You can get onto the MPL side and play My Super Team. You can create your own super team. So you download the MPL app. There's loads and loads of games to play there. But select a match, pick your teams, join a contest, make your super team. Actually, I'll tell you what, that's all we do when we come here before we get onto this program. We're all making our teams. Ajay, very settled, isn't it? They don't have to change too much. They've got these five bowling options, but Huda can bowl a bit, Vijay Shankar can bowl a bit, so they're pretty well settled side.
Yeah, this is a side that's been settled for a while, and they've added Vijay Shankar into that from last year. And they still have so many choices left. Shakib's left out, so they have this option of whether playing Shakib if you have too many right-handers, with Delhi having left-handers at the top.
3 in the top 5, yeah.
So maybe Nabi gets a go. That's why, and he's had a great game last game. Plus you have Williamson, Captain Williamson, who's not there. So maybe that is another reason that they elected to bowl first, because with the captain leading the side, there's not much the captain does while you're batting. He does a lot more when you're actually fielding. And so maybe that's one of the reasons.
Yeah,
otherwise, you would want to bat first.
Shikhar Dhawan, Rishabh Pant, Colin Ingram, 3 left-handers in the top 5. It was exactly the same thing when they played RCB the other day.
Yeah.
And he took 4 for 11. Is the form of Bhuvneshwar a problem? Because Bhuvneshwar is like a bank for Sunrise. He's one of the great bowlers in the history of the IPL. It's like Suresh Raina with the bat, Bhuvneshwar Kumar with the ball. It's that standard. And he hasn't taken a wicket this year. Economy rate 10, in the death economy rate 18.
Also, what's going to happen to these guys is that they're going to get really, really tight in the end of the tournament. Because they lose all their Afghanistan players. They'll lose Warner, probably lose Warner, lose this thing, lose the Bangladeshi also, lose Shakib. So these guys have to, the Indian guys have to come to the party, and therefore Bhuvneshwar's form becomes even more important because there's going to be less to cover up for him. There's not going to be a Rashid Khan around when this tournament reaches that end of the tournament. And fifth, Rashid Khan is also gone. So it's really important.
Unless in a spirit of bilateral cooperation, India's close ties with Afghanistan, they go and play the tri-series there, Ireland, West Indies, but they say that these two will not go. And then Kings will say Mujib also should not go.
And of course, their home ground is, look, where is Afghanistan's home ground?
Dehradun.
Exactly. From Greater Noida to Dehradun.
So he could probably play at night here and go and play in the day there and come back.
Ajay is thinking like what he used to do. No, but something by day, something else by night.
Why not? Because you got to turn up at 8 o'clock, right?
So Ajay, are you now formally saying that you used to play at night and play in the big boys play at night as well and in the day?
No, because the boys are playing at night these days. You can see that. I mean, I was a different story altogether. I mean, I wasn't playing at night. I was out drinking all night, I guess, and turn up in the morning or travel at night to
still squad run, so it didn't matter.
Different city at night and come back. But I think that era was different. The game was different. But this can still happen. I mean, Rashid Khan could play a day game, finish the game, and why can't he play an evening game somewhere else? He's just playing cricket.
Yeah, he's just 4 overs. He's going to come in and bowl 4 overs.
I think also, Malinga has got this great Bombay freelance attitude that, okay, boss, he'll play at night, take a flight. He took 7 for 47.
I know.
Lands, goes to Kandy, and Kandy's not
go to Colombo. He flew from Mumbai to Colombo, drove from Colombo to Kandy, and went and took 7 wickets the next morning.
And those things are possible.
Yeah,
so why not? I mean, they're freelancers, aren't they? Once those days are gone when you played for a team and then you had to go to the camp and everybody had to do the same thing. I think things are changing. People are looking at players differently and saying, look, if he's so important to us, even if he turns up just before the game, he's okay for us. So, you never know. It'll start happening. Day match somewhere else and evening match somewhere else.
3 changes for Delhi. Sunrisers are very happy. They don't need to make any changes. Delhi have 3. And you can see that they've addressed their batting worries a little bit because they've got Rahul Tewatia back as the leg spinner, not Amit Mishra. So he can bat. He's a good tonker. Yeah. Akshar Patel comes back in. If it's a dry surface, it's just right for him. And Sandeep Lamichhane comes. He's in all along. Ishant Sharma, of course, comes back in as well. So they've got Rabada, Ishant Sharma, Chris Morris. They've got 6 proper bowlers in there, and they bat down to 8. So I think this is a far better balanced side.
Yeah, this looks like a better side. This is almost the same side that they played in the first game. I think Chris Morris wasn't there. You had Kimo Paul there, and instead of Lamachane, I can't remember who it was. But it's pretty much the same side.
Trent Bolt in the first game.
Trent Bolt. Yeah. So I'm a little surprised actually what I saw. I wasn't here, but what I saw on television when they didn't play Akshar Patel. Leave the others out. Because Akshar Patel is one of those players that you won't leave out. They started him the season and then they left him out and they brought him back. I don't think if it's a decision made because of what happened in the last game and they're trying to sort the batting, that won't be the right thing to do. Because even if you try, you can't do that again. That's one-off thing that's gone, but bowlers will have to bowl again. So Tewatia, if he's been brought in for his batting, It's a decision that will work for them.
He's probably
in
the
that
sixth
sense.
bowler. He's probably the sixth bowler
Yeah,
on that side.
so if he's for pure batting, then for Hanuman Vihari that he's come in.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Because Hanuman Vihari doesn't slog, doesn't strike at the end. You saw what Tewatia can do. I've seen him when I played with him in domestic cricket. It wasn't that long ago. But
I didn't say it. I just love the way he felt the need to say it wasn't that long ago. It's fine.
When I think of it, I feel guilty sometimes. At this age, I shouldn't have gone back.
Your other favorite, Harshal Patel, is not playing today.
Oh, I'm glad that he's not playing. So, but this man, I'm telling you, this boy can hit the ball. And he can hit it as far as anybody that I have seen. He's got a swing arc that is better than a lot of players. Yeah. He hasn't got the opportunity. And just to give you a little glimpse of it, he showed you what he did against Jasprit Bumrah in the last game as well. Yeah. So he can walk in at any stage and hit those sixes.
Now, Rishabh Pant is for Delhi. Vijay Shankar is for Hyderabad. Are they competing for the same spot at the World Cup? Is each looking at what the others
doing? At which
point
Manish Pandey puts up his hand and says, I'm that one.
Excuse me, I've been around for a while. He hasn't batted. He's hardly you know what happens? I mentioned that right at the top. When you've got these two guys, Williamson and Warner and Bairstow batting the way they do, then the others haven't had much to do.
No, it's going to be very interesting. And see, what's going to happen is that there is a pressure on them. Whether Vijay Shankar likes it or not, he knows that that's there in his head. Rishabh Pant, I think, is a more happy-go-lucky, or he's slightly more, confident of his, or maybe his most feistiness of youth. Who knows?
Is Rishabh Pant his name about to be written on the squad for the World Cup? Or
I know yesterday.
I thought he should have been. Before this started, and going back to what Captain said, no performances are going to be taken into account for the World Cup.
But
so having said that,
it's easier said than done, right?
I've always felt Rishabh Pant is a player who's got something extra. He's got something more than the other players would give you. In the long run, he's somebody that you need to invest in. There is no doubt in my mind that, because I haven't seen somebody for a very long time with that kind of talent.
You can say what you want, but Vijay Shankar batting at 3 here is a message going out, I can be a top order player. And they've both had fantastic tournaments so far, and both have this ability to just come and go boom straight away. Yeah. Strike rate 189 versus 200, average 51-40 to 3 innings 84 is not bad actually in the IPL given the starts that
also exactly that has to be looked at as the background of the 3 century partnerships, opening century partnerships. But it's interesting to compare because Rishabh has really had one really big success and one sort of semi innings. He hasn't, when he's not fired for them, they've been in trouble, and that should worry them.
He's like the stock that you invest in. Vijay Shankar is like a mutual fund. You know what you're going to get. So with him, you'll always going to get plus.
I'll ask for the other analogy. Yeah. So Simon Dole was talking about boarding passes. So will you be printing Rishabh Pant's boarding pass already?
I think boarding pass is easier to get. It's the visa that who's going to get the visa. So if I had to give a visa to one of them, I would probably give it to Rishabh Pant. There's no doubt in my mind. Because see, with Vijay Shankar, I'll tell you why. With Vijay Shankar, nothing against any of these players or trying to put them into anything, but you know what you're going to get, and he's a solid player. Much more solid than Rishabh Pant in that sense, but he's not that X factor that you're looking at. Your Indian side is virtually all set. Everybody's talking about just that one slot. So what that tells me is that the slots are all sorted out. Everybody else is all solid. So what do you need? If you're going to add somebody, are you looking at the last guy getting onto the flight or the guy who's already got a seat and sitting there? So he will have an option to play the way he wants. You need that X factor. Look at every World Cup. I'll go back to the World Cups that I've seen in the last few years or go back to as a kid also. Whenever they won, say 87 is the first one I really remember looking at cricket and understanding. There was that slower one that came in,
Steve Waugh, Simon
O'Donnell or something. In 92, they didn't win the World Cup, but Great Batch was the guy who started opening and batting and turned that fortunes of that team. And the ones who beat them was who? Inzi, who nobody had seen before.
Correct.
You need players who have no pressure and no baggage that they come to the World Cup.
Then Jayasuriya and Kalwitharna in 96.
So there was a different change. So you don't want what people already play, because every team in the world has prepared themselves. They worked on their team. They come with a plan. So how do you beat somebody? You got to break that plan. And I think Rishabh Pant, to me, between these two is a better player than,
I almost thought for a minute that Ajay confused in which studio he was. That he thought he's in an ET now or CNBC studio.
Yeah.
When he suddenly started going mutual funds and stocks.
No, we were talking about it.
Studying the indices. I thought he was going to go
before you arrived, we were talking about it.
But very interesting. Saurav Ganguly said one thing, and that's also, it's a brilliant thought, that as a captain, he said, I look for match-winning players. I don't look for players who will play their place.
Especially in T20.
Yeah, so and even in one-day cricket, Rishabh Pant is a match-winning player. On his day, he can win a match for you.
Yeah.
And if his replacement is somebody who can just bat in a particular position, the day Rishabh Pant gets going, he can change everything. And having players like that is important, I think.
Actually, both of them can make it. I mean, there's 4 people gunning for 2 spots. But that is the big new narrative these days. Who is India's number 4? It's become a meme now, almost. Meme is the right word, right?
Meme is the right word.
Ajay is the one who practices, who learns all these new acronyms.
I try and add a word every day from all of you. So.
Now, there's one other interesting thing that's been happening in the IPL. It's been happening for a long time, but it's just that Mohammad Kaif drew attention to it the other day, and he said there are people sleeping out and the fielders coming in. He said Rinku Singh came in the other day and Piyush Chawla went out. I mean, Piyush Chawla is a good, decent batsman, very good bowler. Fielding is not his strong point. And Sarfraz has to sort of go round himself a little bit sometimes to stop a ball. So Karun Nair comes on. You think the strategy, you think they're already planning, you do your stuff and go away and we'll send the 12th better fielder out?
I think it is. And again, this is just another of the cases where the umpires are not calling it. The fact of the matter is you have to at least be strict up front.
The umpires are not calling time, over rates, the umpires are not calling no balls, the umpires are not calling
obviously, see, there are only 2 Indian umpires and none of the umpires are feeling the pressure to do something. My point is, any good umpire, refs in, say, basketball games or football games, one of the things they do is, up front, first 5 or 10 minutes, they like to call it tight. Why do you call it tight? You call it tight early so that the players know the rules are set. Okay, I can't get away with something. What they've done out here is they've called it loose early. They're not questioning these decisions. And once you allow it to lose early, then everyone, now they'll turn around. Now, any player is called and fined or told that, why are you not allowing this, why is this fielder coming out? They'll say, but look at the last match and the last match and the last match. So they're putting themselves into a position where they can't do something.
But it's okay. Spirit of the game, it's okay. Send the field,
send the batsman. The spirit of the game is the strangest animal in the history of mankind. What is the spirit of the game?
Spirit of the game is what existed 150 years ago, and it's beyond the laws of the game.
So then it is in the spirit of the game. Because 150 years ago, the players and the professionals, in England, the gentlemen never fielded; they batted. And the other people came and fielded.
So spirit of the game is okay for a guy to bat. He can't field. He goes away, but that's okay. Spirit of the game is only wrong when you're trying to run less to complete a single. But people will pile on to me all over again.
No.
But this is a practice. I was sent out, in under 15 when I used to play for Delhi. I was one of those who would bat and then you would be told that aapko sar dard hai, aap bat jao, let somebody else go field at short leg or something.
Oh, the other way around. You batted.
No, to start with, I used to bat.
Correct.
It's then only that fielding came over.
When I got picked from a university side, the captain just came by me, Arshad Bhai, who was not the swiftest between wicket himself. And he said, Khaba nakko dekho, aapko field pe rehna padta din bhar, because I enjoyed fielding. So it was like I was going to field all day anyway, and I enjoyed it because if you're not scoring. But this is becoming a trend. It's happened all along. When I was just starting out, every time we saw a sub on the field, we looked for Dilip Venksarakar. And he wasn't there.
Yeah. So it's been there, like I said, it's been on for a very long time.
But tell me,
nothing's new. Only the bowlers, poor things, they still have to be on the field. It's always the batsman. So even if you look
bowl your 4 overs and go?
No.
But you could do that within the umpire's rights to ask why you're going off, right?
Yeah, it is the rights. And the umpires called it hard. And they have called it hard in previous IPLs. I've seen 10-11 where they've actually questioned it. And players have been careful. Don't do it. This is very obvious.
No, I think there have been some rule changes as well because, earlier it was not just about fielding, but people used to do it with running between wickets.
Yeah, the runners.
Arjuna Ranatunga used to be one who would always have a fielder for him. Pakistani player, I forget who exactly he was. He would always have a runner after 20, 30.
Saeed Anwar himself also.
So Saeed Anwar was a batsman, not a fielder.
So this was part of it, and I think that is why they changed that rule, that as a batsman, no matter what kind of injury you have, you cannot get a runner. But if they haven't changed the rule by the laws, you can actually replace, and all you need to do is convince the umpire. And how does the umpire, actually look at?
I mean, suppose you say I've got tight hamstrings. You know, I mean, talking of tight hamstrings, we're hearing that Dwayne Bravo might be in trouble because of hamstring trouble. We'll await full news, but he's going to be out for a while.
If I'm not wrong, I think even in that SRH game when Warner got that 100, and he's one of the fittest in the world and not one of the slowest fielders, he also didn't come into field.
But that day.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So you can't have rules depending on the day. So since it is allowed, then people use it smartly. In this case, for Sarfaraz, you'd use it in every game. But and sometimes you use it.
It's very funny that Sarfaraz, what, 12, 13, now what is it? 18, 17, what? Doesn't matter. He's playing an adult game. It doesn't matter how old he is. It doesn't matter. He's playing an adult game. Yeah. But a young man is being substituted by someone older in the field. When did you hear that happening for the last time?
Sarfaraz likes his biryani and his chop and his paratha and his roti.
To be honest, he surprised me. I didn't think he'd have an impact. He's batting well. To be honest, he surprised me. But he has to be on the field all the time.
No, not just him. Everybody has to be on the field. But, and if you allow one team to do it, the other teams will do it. I mean, it's...
Okay, let's come back. Okay, coming back to today's game. Delhi Capitals will be batting first, and the Sunrisers, whose great strength is their bowling, they'll be bowling first. The Sunrisers have been winning matches with their bat today, and all eyes will be on Shikhar Dhawan, because first he's got to go into the right change room. Having opened with Warner all these years. He's made what? He's one of the leading run scorers in the Sunrisers history, and now he's been traded. He's going back there. But is he in good form? I mean, is he in good enough form for you?
Look, there is something that's going on, not just with him. I mean, you look at all the 11, 10 guys who we think are certainty for Indian cricket. None of them are scoring. You've had Virat Kohli, who hasn't had a good year.
Rohit's had a couple of starts.
I mean, what I'm saying is the form that you expect them to. So is him.
Raidu hasn't got a run, you're right.
So him, and then the bowlers. Look at Jasprit Bumrah, look at Kuldeep Yadav hasn't bowled full overs, Bhuvi struggled. So the guys who are in the Indian team are all struggling in terms of numbers. But maybe it is the mindset.
Yeah.
I think it's the mindset that
they've relaxed themselves somehow.
They're too relaxed. They feel that they're part of this team. They're comfortable. They're not. Everybody's minds are probably at the World Cup. It could be one of the reasons. But Shikhar Dhawan, I think, is a person who likes to take his time. With captain or the coach the other day making that public statement saying that he needs to push on, he needs to score at a higher scoring rate. Actually made a difference in the last game when he got out trying to force the pace. He is not a player who actually forces the pace. He takes those risks and he hits those boundaries, but he's not one who flowingly...
You look down that lineup. Are you a believer in that there's 2 anchors and 4 dashers? So Rishabh Pant dasher, Shreyas Iyer should be a dasher. Rishabh Pant big dasher. Shikhar Dhawan experience, Colin Ingram experience. Then Chris Morris, Akshar Patel go for it again. So these 2 control if there's follow wickets, but you can't control at striker 105, 110. You still got to be 120 plus, 125 plus.
And I think that doctrine of playing around a particular player, a lot of teams are re-looking at that. That's not necessarily the order.
Everybody just go for it. Everybody go.
Yeah. Because what they're saying is that you need to front load. You have 20 overs. Now every time there's a very
sounding like a washing machine.
No, there's a very interesting analogy.
Front load, okay.
Very interesting analogy. The analogy is that if you have taken a flight, every flight you've taken in the last year, if you've not missed a single flight, you're probably spending too much time in the airport. Because if you spend optimum time in the airport, that means you'd save half an hour of your life maybe every day for 40 flights in a year. You'll miss 1 flight maybe because you haven't reached on time. So similarly, if you have batsmen to use, you've got to use your 5, 6, 7 batsmen and give them as much of a run as possible. If you're going to end up with lots of 3s, 4s and 4-4s and not getting these guys to really go and hit out, you've not used full capacity. Of course, you're going to lose some days. Some days you're going to be 55 for 6. But it still makes less sense. You've got to front load.
It's always a tricky one. And more Joy is right. The world is moving towards saying, just keep going. We've got 7 batsmen. Just everybody keep going. It's only 20 overs. England are doing that in 50 overs.
England's mantra is that front load, keep playing, keep hitting. You will. There will be a day will be 140 for 7. Doesn't matter. 9 out of the other 10 days you wouldn't be.
Okay, so the Delhi Capitals playing against the Sunrisers. Every time you see DC, you think of Deccan Chargers, right? And I said it the other day too. So Delhi Capitals, Sunrisers, and you've got another tough question for us today.
This is actually not so tough, but it's a fun question.
It's not so tough for whom?
Yeah, it's a fun question. Okay. One team wore false moustaches and wigs, and a member of the opposing side pretended to bowl an underarm ball. And a rugby star played his first major cricket game in ages. But what seemed like a bit of a farce was actually history being made. What am I talking about?
I think I might know this answer. Yes. If I know it, it's not tough.
And I know this one too.
But don't give away.
No, I won't.
I know,
Right,
but
the clock
This is the first one that I've ever...
The clock is send in your replies with hashtag Cricbuzz Live, because sometimes you might send in the answer quickly, you might tag Joy, you might tag me, whatever, and then it'll get lost. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live, and the clock already started running 10 seconds ago. Let's see if we've already got any answers, but I won't be surprised if we do. Right, quick one now. We know it's slightly slowish track. We know it's completely bald. Wrong term to use, because if you're bald, you can. What's a good score?
175.
So you're saying that Delhi will make 175?
Yeah, I think they'll make 175. I think they'll do well.
I'd stay probably 5 runs short of him.
See, you are the one who sits on the throne, right?
Yeah.
So,
No way.
no, I mean, you won in the past, so in the second innings. So what's your estimate?
Anybody can win. No, I look... I've added 10 runs to every total this year. Let me, how I'm looking at the game. This is a slow wicket. Otherwise, last year maybe I would have said 160. This year 170. Because I feel this year you have a...
So you're going 170?
I can't go to 170. He's 175. So I'll stick to 165 then.
MPL Super Couch. Which one of them is going to be on it? 175, 165? And maybe 159. I can't win, but it's okay. You never know. Come on, SRH. Okay, just so I can sit on the MPL Super Couch. So.
You gave it out. You gave it out.
Okay, so there your game about to begin. We'll come back, of course, after the 10th over with Cricbuzz Combox. But we'll wait and see. Should be a good game. SRH favourites, you think, or DC favourites? Quick last commentary. SRH favourites?
Sorry. DC.
DC favourites.
I got it wrong. The guys who are batting first.
DC
on
favourites.
sluggish wickets, always go with them.
I think the Capitals are going to go very hard this time, and I think they're favourites. Yeah. Though they.
So Delhi Walas are going with Delhi and
going with Hyderabad.
Walas.
It should be fun.
It's 2-1 at the moment on MPL presents Cricbuzz Live. We'll be back with the Cricbuzz Combox after 10 overs.